This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Cabo Jim Schaller.
Welcome, good neighbors, to episode number 229 of the Good Neighbor Podcast. Today we have good neighbor Ashley Price from Goodwill of Southwest Florida. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure to get to meet people in the community and share with our listeners what they do. So let's jump right in, and why don't you share a little bit about what you do over at Goodwill?
Sure. So I always like to say I have the honor, but also the challenge of fundraising for Goodwill Southwest Florida. I say that because there's a lot of misconceptions about Goodwill and what we do. So anytime I have the opportunity to share that, I'm really happy to do that.
Absolutely. So let's talk about how you got involved in all this to start with.
Sure. So I actually started my career about 8 years ago at the University of Miami Business School. I did alumni relations and development there, but I'm originally from Southwest Florida. I grew up in Naples. And so it was always my hope to come back home. And so during lockdown in 2020, I saw that there was a job that popped up in Southwest Florida for Goodwill for what I do. And I came here, fell in love with our mission, and fortunately got the job, and now I'm here 4 years in.
You are back and loving it. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Helping out the community. So let's talk about challenges. You mentioned fundraising. Are there challenges involved in doing that?
Absolutely. I mean, I think in general, fundraising is a challenge because you're essentially a salesperson for the best thing you could sell, which is something that is going to better the local community. And then, of course, a lot of people don't understand what Goodwill does. And so it's really having to make sure you find educated donors and educate the community along the way. So that is a challenge, but I enjoy doing it.
That's it. It's a good challenge. It's fun. You got to be passionate about what you do and love what you do. And it sounds like you do. So let's talk about myths or misconceptions surrounding maybe just Goodwill in general.
Sure.
That we could clear up for our listeners.
Absolutely. So Goodwill is a nonprofit. We are all anonymous agencies. So Goodwill Southwest Florida is Collier County, Lee, Hendry, Glades, and Charlotte. We have our own board of directors and our own CEO. So we are local because Goodwill was set up to understand and address the fact that people in Maryland, where GII is, the Goodwill Industries International, they can't really tell us in Southwest Florida what really hurts us, what makes us thrive, what we're seeing every day, unless we're governed locally.
Absolutely.
So it's really important for people to understand that, because we always get the question, your CEO doesn't even live here. He makes, there's this made up man called Mark Curran, which we found doesn't even exist. And he's made $2.5 million. And, we don't help the community. You just give us our donated goods. We sell it and we're sitting on top of a bunch of money, which is just absolutely not true and hurts us every day, but also really hurts the people we're trying to support and serve in Southwest Florida.
Absolutely. And Goodwill, just like you said, in general, gives you the opportunity to address the local needs and so forth as well too, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. So our mission programs, there are 4 focuses because that's what our local community needs. So we focus on workforce development, small business development, housing, affordable and attainable housing for low-income seniors and individuals with physical disabilities, as well as adults with disabilities. There's amazing nonprofits for children, but when they grow out of the school system, it's a desert of resources. And so those are the 4 focuses and the kind of sectors that we focus on.
Now, speaking along those, do you notice anything changing or trending lately?
Absolutely. And we thankfully have a very agile board, and that really lets us kind of change with the need of the community. And I'll give you an example. So we go and speak to our legislators every year, Collier County delegation, Lee County. And I go and speak about what we do so that the legislators can know and tell their constituents, right? They run into the problem. Well, Goodwill can help you, go there. We always stay for public input. And at the end, a lot of individuals had people that they cared about that had a disability, mostly children that were aging out of the school system. And they were like, I need help with funding. Well, the legislators are like, well, there's this thing called Medicaid waiver. It's out there. But the problem is there's a gap of reaching that resource. It's very complicated. I'm educated, I work in the sphere, and that form just, crazy to me. And so there's a great need there. So back in 2023 and now 2024, we've been helping families sign up for that Medicaid waiver and really just sitting next to them during that journey. And it's all a free service that we provide, but there's such an uptick of individuals in Southwest Florida that are caring for a loved one with intellectual or developmental disability. So, we're definitely seeing an uptick there.
And like you mentioned, most people are, I don't know, say adverse, but it's they have trouble asking for help, number one. But then when you make that process difficult, it makes it even more intimidating for them. And, having people like you help walk through that, I'm sure helps
Absolutely.
A lot of families.
A lot of these families are living in survival mode too, right? They're just trying to get day to day and through it and facing their own challenges outside of their loved one, right? They might not even know fully how to use a computer. They've never been educated in it. They don't know how to access these services. And so, we definitely try to address the family holistically as well.
Perfect. So you mentioned you were from here originally and now you're back. Welcome back. But I'm sure your job is very demanding and you have a little bit of free time. So when you do get that opportunity, what do you enjoy doing outside of work?
So I have a 7-year-old. So obviously,
Nice.
First and foremost, love being with him and watching him grow and taking him to play dates. But I also love hiking. I didn't realize, even though we're so flat here in Southwest Florida, there's some gorgeous trails, and really enjoying just getting out in nature and connecting and kind of slowing down. We're all so fast paced and it's stressful and we all have so much on the line. But getting out in nature and kind of being away from it all really, calms me and helps me be better the next day.
And that's the beauty of living in Florida is we do have that opportunity to get out and do a lot of that. And, there's a lot that most people haven't explored or even realized that we have out here.
I had no idea. I had never been down a hiking trail in Southwest Florida until I got back here. So it's been really nice to discover it.
Love it. Perfect. So is there one thing you wish our listeners knew about Goodwill that maybe they wouldn't be so familiar with?
Sure. I mean, really that, we are out in the community. Our stores help fund and employ over 1,100 individuals in just our 5-county area. So those are 75% of which self-identify with a disability or disadvantage. So our employees are our mission first. And then with those 4 focuses I mentioned earlier, we support about 25,000 people each year. And when a hurricane comes through, that'll jump up to 35,000, 40,000. Wow. Helping people with vouchers, getting FEMA support out there. And I just want listeners to understand, we're here, we're in the community, we're local, and we're just so ready to help the community as it grows and helping people thrive, because when we all do better as a community.
Absolutely. And then you mentioned as the community grows, which it has been for several years down here in Southwest Florida, so does the need as well.
Right. Absolutely.
So how would our listeners go about contacting you if they wanted to learn more or make a donation?
Absolutely. So you can go to goodwillswfl.org/gift. And you can give directly online. 93 cents of every dollar that's brought into our organization goes directly to our mission services, which is a really great standard along nonprofits. We do that because we're a very small admin team. I overlook our development, overlook our events, I overlook our government advocacy. And so you can trust that when you donate with us at our online, or you reach out to me personally, that you are making an investment that will have a true impact.
Very good. Any last words for our listeners?
I mean, just that we're so excited to be here, and we're really doing a lot to get in front of people. And please, just if you see something and you feel like Goodwill can help, or it would be a great opportunity to have Goodwill at a certain service fair, we're really excited to be there.
Perfect. Ashley, it's been a pleasure getting to know you and learn a little bit more about Goodwill. Thank you for being such a good neighbor, and I hope to see you out in the community soon.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Estero. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpestero.com. That's gnpestero.com. Or call 239-296-2621.